So I hope you're seeing that when we bring AI to these conversations, that it's not just a flash in a pan, that it's actual work that people are doing with AI now that's productive, it's making a difference, and it does have strong relationships with standards in terms of making standards better and making AI better when they work together. So our next presenter with restb.ai is Dominik Pogorzelski. Come on up.
See this pixel? In the world of AI and standardized real estate data, this tiny little square can be worth over $1 million. How? Well, this exact pixel might be part of the exact feature on a photo that convinces a buyer to make that offer. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dominik. I'm the general manager at restb.ai, and today we'll explore how AI can turn the tiniest details into major sales accelerators. I'd love to start by taking you through a few real-world examples of AI in real estate. Then explore how marrying AI with RESO standards can actually decrease days on market. And finally, give you a bit of a glimpse of what the not-so-distant future can look like with AI. So let's jump into it. What are some of the real-world use cases that we're already seeing today with AI? One of the interesting new fields that is coming up is this ability to create these AI-powered, let's call them personal assistants, right? A lot of companies are already building these AI agents, so to speak, that can actually learn not just the voice of the agent, but also integrate into the CRM and all these other tools around it in order to automate a lot of these monotonous, time-consuming tasks. So this AI agent can actually go ahead and, in the voice of the agent, nurture incoming leads, can handle scheduled callbacks, and even qualify and follow up with prospects. And I've actually tried the Wailopo AI voice agent, and it works pretty well. Sure, there's still a couple of kinks to work out here and there, but this is something that's already live in the market, helping agents become more efficient in their day-to-day tasks. Another very interesting field that I think is getting a lot of interest and traction is this ability to use AI for us to kind of interact in a much more natural way with technology. I'm sure some of you might have heard Zillow released this natural language query feature on the search portal, which worked pretty well, but had a couple of kinks, mostly due to actually unclean data. But then you also have companies like Lundy, who is really creating this brand new experience, a brand new way to search for homes. And all this by kind of allowing us as humans to stop being these robotic kind of, entering keywords and filters machines, but to actually interact with technology in a very natural way, allowing the search to go from this kind of filter and keyword experience to something that's a lot more similar to me going up and saying, "Hey, Alexa, my wife and I are looking to move to Frisco, Texas. We have 2 kids, so we need at least 3 to 4 bedrooms and at least 2 bathrooms. For us, Sunday barbecues are a weekly ritual. So we definitely need an outdoor kitchen, a pool for the kids to splash around with, and a fenced backyard for our dog. Our budget is about $750 to $800K. Is there anything in the market that could fit us?" And then Alexa can actually understand that and go back and say something like, "Hey, yes, Dominik, we certainly can find that for you." but in an Alexa voice. Volume, please. Is that how it sounds, Lundy? More or less, right? Another interesting place where AI is having an impact in the industry is obviously something closer to our wheelhouse, which is using computer vision to look at photos and extract that wealth of information that's sitting there idly right now. And to go ahead and, for example, scan all the property photos and understand and pick out that this house has a fire pit, a fireplace, an outdoor kitchen, French doors, vaulted ceilings, et cetera, all the good stuff. And then be able to auto-populate this information into the ad edit in order to really elevate and make sure that the listing is as complete as possible. Now, you might be asking me, hey, Dominic, but aren't agents already populating listings? Your answer would be, not all of them, right? We know some of them do, but maybe not all of them. And we've actually gone ahead and looked at, do we have some numbers to back this up? So our team of data scientists went ahead and did an analysis, and we found some very interesting points. We looked at a whole bunch of different features. I'll give you one example, which is the outdoor kitchen. And we actually saw that our AI was able to pick up and identify 3 times more homes that had outdoor kitchens than the actual listing having that feature tagged in the listing. Now think about that. That means that 2 out of 3 houses that are out there for sale have an outdoor kitchen in the photos, but it is not present in the listing. That means someone who's looking to buy a house with an outdoor kitchen would have missed 2 out of 3 houses that they're looking for. And we'll see why that's important a little bit later. Another interesting use of AI is leveraging that technology to analyze objectively the condition of a house. So it's able to look at all the property photos and then give a rating of the overall condition, but even go as deep as saying, here's the condition of the exterior, of the interior, of the kitchen, bathroom, and so on and so forth. And why is this important? Because after location and size, condition is most often the 3rd biggest driver of value. And right now, this is a huge blind spot that we have in terms of information about a property. So, how can AI and RESO really help reduce days on market? Going back to the example of voice AI and of kind of searching by scenario, we've spoken with our friends at Lundy, and by the way, a company with which we've recently announced an interesting partnership. And they've actually said that they really enjoy working with RESO for a couple of reasons. First one being, think about it. In this kind of experience, there's 2 sides to the equation, right? There's the human talking in natural language with the technology, which could be considered dirty or kind of unclean way of communicating because there's a lot of different ways of saying the same thing. And on the other side of the equation, you have the database that you need to query, right? Now, if both sides of the equation are unclean, then that really becomes a tough experience to manage properly. So in order to really make the experience as seamless, as accurate, as fast as possible, you really gotta hope that at least the database side is as clean and standardized as possible. The other even more important part that they shared with us was that they saw savings of up to 2 person weeks per MLS integration when working with RESO standardized MLSs. Now think about it. In of itself, it's already a significant saving. But if you're looking to roll out a technology at scale, nationwide, with 500 plus MLSs, this kind of savings can actually be the difference between doing such a product or not doing it at all. Especially if the guys at Lundy are offering something like Finding Homes Access, which is a free service for MLSs, right? Remember the example I talked about, the outdoor kitchen feature not being picked up in listings or not? Our team actually got excited and said, hey, can we take this a step further? Is there any way that there's a correlation between features of a home and days on market? So they jumped on the occasion to do a little bit of number crunching, and they looked at, on one side, incomplete listings, let's call them, listings that have features in a photo, where, for example, a fireplace is present in a photo, but that feature is not present in the listing. And then listings that are complete. So all the features are actually, and all the top features that are driving the sale are actually also present in the listing. And what we've discovered was a staggering 29% decrease in days on market for houses that had complete listings. Now, we talked about that outdoor kitchen example, where the AI picked up that one feature 3 times more often than the manual entries. That's just one feature. Now, imagine if you scale that out to hundreds of features, how many missed opportunities are there of a home buyer looking for something, a specific home, that he or she cannot find because that feature is not present in the listing? And this is where, again, RESO comes in to really enable this technology and bring it to scale at a nationwide level. Because again, for example, in one of our latest models, we now tag over 370 different RESO-compliant tags. So obviously, this could be a bit of a daunting task if you're looking to implement this into an MLS. But again, through having standards between both the vendor and the MLS, we're seeing up to 2 to 3 person-week savings per MLS integration. And again, this can be the difference between being able to roll this out or not. A few interesting stats that then our team got excited about. Said, okay, we looked at features, days on market. Is there also some correlation between days on market and condition of a home? So they pulled some stats around Dallas, Texas area for the year 2022. And as you can see here, in the first half of the year, there was pretty much no major difference between the condition and days on market. But in the second half, that graph starts to diverge. Can anyone in the room tell me what happened around mid-2022? Y'all in real estate? The rates increased in mid-2022. And that was an interesting little piece of nugget, because we then saw that after the rate increased, the condition of, or the properties that had excellent condition were taking 50% longer to sell. Whereas properties in poor condition were being sold in half the time than the average. So again, these are interesting nuggets that can be put in the forefront of investors, agents, brokers, to really kind of be that market thought leader. Another interesting analysis that our team did was regarding condition and price per square foot. Now, obviously, we know that there's a bit of a correlation there, but how deep is that correlation, and how does that differ from market to market? So we did a test here. We did an analysis between 2 neighborhoods in Texas, Highland Park and Oak Cliff. And obviously, as you can see in the slides, it right away jumps out that if I were to invest in renovating a house that's in poor condition to a good condition in Highland Park, this is where I would get the best ROI. And again, this is information that hits the bottom line of investors, brokers, agents, and helps you better realize, do I invest, do I renovate, do I not renovate, where, and how. And all this is possible through the power of AI extracting new insights and having clean, standardized data to run this analysis against. So we've talked about AI-powered assistance. We've talked about using voice to kind of, or using AI to interact naturally with technology. And we've talked about AI extracting really interesting new information. So what if we were to marry all these 3 technologies together, to take the listing information, the property condition, the top features of a home, the markets of that home in and around the trends of that home in and around the market. Bridge that in with the buyer information, buyer profile, and then wrap it around with an assistant that can actually distill all this information and put it in the hands of an agent. That can then really empower that agent into something much, much more powerful. And that could actually create experiences where instead of an agent having to do weekend researching all the clients that are coming up in the following week, he or she can actually wake up in the morning, pick up the phone, and say, hey, Pocket Agent, who am I seeing today? Cue volume.
Hey, Dominic. This morning, you're meeting with Paul and Amy. They are visiting 1428 Elm Street at 9 a.m. They have 2 kids, Rosie and Mike, so make sure you show them the pool and explain that it's better to buy now because in spring, houses with pools tend to sell for 5% higher. Also, the condition of that house is extremely good for the asking price. It's very likely to sell much faster than other homes in the area, so they need to jump on it fast if they're interested.
Thanks, Pocket Agent. So this really enables to kind of take all that information and put it in the hands of a palm. And this is something that's not that far away because all these moving pieces are already there. It's a matter of bringing this whole ecosystem together in a clean, standardized way to start creating this experience. And at the core of all these experiences is data, data, data. So as an AI technologist, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of clean data to really unlock the power of AI. So if I would say, if there's one takeaway I would want you guys to walk away with today, is if you want to be part of this journey, be the source of high quality, standardized data. Thank you very much.